Afternoon, everybody. It's Tom McLean here, and I'm out and about, and it's a wee interview with my newfound friend Drew Millar here. I'm down at his house, and he's going to show me and talk about some of his motorbikes. Drew, tell us about this bike here.
Okay, this is a Honda CRF 300L.
Right, where's the wee sign on the side here to get it? I'll get this one. Right, 300L, and it's a CRF.
Yeah, so it's a sort of dual sport. It's a lightweight trail bike. It's not a competition bike, despite the look of it. It is just a road bike which is suitable for some trail riding, and the big appeal for me is that it's nice and light. I injured my leg, nothing to do with motorbikes, quite badly about 4 years ago, and had to move to a lightweight bike. So with a wee bit of modification of suspension and some other bits and pieces to make this work for me, it's been fantastic. I love it.
And you have just come back from a recent trip round Ireland.
Yes, did a trip last year with Nathan Millward with a group. I met the group in Rosslare. They'd come over from Wales, and we did basically a circuit round the coast of Ireland, ending up in Belfast. And this wee bike here was just glorious. It was bits of Wild Atlantic Way, but bits of sort of more interesting little roads with grass up the middle.
Country back roads.
Yes, borings, I suppose.
Right.
And this bike, I was carrying camping gear on it. I just used lightweight, soft luggage and camping gear, and it was just absolutely fantastic for it.
You mentioned Nathan there. He runs a YouTube channel, doesn't he?
Oh, he does indeed. He's known as Nathan the Postman.
Nathan the Postman, that's the one.
When he was a youngish man, he came home from Australia riding a post e-bike the whole way, a wee tiny Honda post e-bike. So he specialises in small capacity bikes that are capable for off-road and interesting roads, and he runs. And he runs tours. Runs a few tours. They're not glamorous tours now, but they're great fun.
Right. So that's this. You have done what? How many miles on this bike so far?
I have done, I think, 5,000 miles on that. I've had it in France, actually.
You had it in France too?
Yeah, the year before, September. Yeah, so September 2 years ago, I took this across to France. I went into Roscoff. I took the Rosslare to Roscoff ferry, and then I went south just as far as the Loire Valley. I settled outside the town of Angers, which I like. I know it from before, and I used a couple of municipal campsites just on the riverbank there. So set my tent up at each of them, left my stuff in it, which left me with a really lightweight bike. And I did just day rides out from that and just went exploring, and it was great. I even managed a few very small, easy sections of the Tet, that part of France, which I might go back if I had somebody with me, just to be a bit safer and do some of the more adventurous parts of it. But it was really good fun.
And Drew, you're not a young fella. You're
just at the end of my teens here.
You're knocking on 70.
I'll be 70 before December.
And you've had a couple of heart attacks.
Oh yes.
Oh yes.
But sure, at my age, who hasn't?
and you're still up for doing. I mean, that trip round Ireland. What is that? What would it have been? 800 or 900 miles at least.
Yeah, it was. I think it was. Yeah, probably in total, it was probably the guts of 1,000 miles, including me going from home here.
And the French trip must have been.
I never actually checked how long it was, but it was quite long. But I took a while on it. You know, I didn't push myself. I didn't do very much each day. I'm not one.
Only 300 miles a day.
No, I wouldn't do that.
I'm winding you up here.
Yeah, but no, I'm not one for going fast. I don't like big main roads. I love looking around me. I love meeting people. So I don't book. The trip with Nathan was different, but if I'm off on one of my own trips, I don't book anywhere in advance. I just see how the day's going and try to start fairly early in the morning, and then like sort of mid-afternoon I'll try to figure out where I'll find a campsite or a B&B or whatever and do that.
Have you ever ended up a night and you've nowhere to stay?
Oh yes. Yes, that goes with the territory.
Oh my goodness. And the tent then would come into action?
Yes, because you're never absolutely stuck.
Aye.
Now that hasn't happened to me in recent years.
No,
but yes,
no, but
in the past.
in the past.
Yes.
Tell us about this bike here.
I actually slept one night. Oh, this is a long time ago, 1980. I slept one night on the seat of my Suzuki GT 185.
Oh my goodness.
I had my sleeping roll on the rack on the back, so I had my head on the back of it and my feet dangling.
Oh my goodness.
The handlebars, the bike up on the wee centre stand, because I'd had a fire in the wiring loom of the bike, and I got it going again, but I had no lights and I had no spare bulbs, and I got caught on a French autoroute. I don't remember why I was on the autoroute. Got caught on it when it became dark. The only place I could get into to stay the night was in a lorry park, and there was nowhere to put the tent up, and it was too dangerous with the lorries reversing and coming and going. So there was one park bench, and Ruth, my wife, was with me, so
she took the park bench. She
got the park bench. I thought that was only fair, and I put myself up on this bike and went to sleep. And I slept perfectly all night, and Ruth said she didn't get a wink of sleep because she was petrified of me falling off the bike and getting run over by a lorry.
Dear, and just we were talking earlier, you went on honeymoon.
That was actually on the honeymoon. Talk about luxury. You were just showing her the good time that was coming.
That was on the 185 Suzuki.
Yeah.
Back in, what,
1980. We had
1980.
a 5-week honeymoon, setting off from Belfast and ending up in Saint Maxime and Saint Tropez.
What are you like? What are you like? Here, right, get us onto this bike here. This is an interesting machine.
Is very special. I had said that the little Honda would be my last bike, and then last year I was in France in the camper van, and we were having lunch with an old friend, and he said that he was thinking that it was time he stopped riding the bike, that he had reached the age where he should move just to a 3-wheeled scooter, but give up. And this was his everyday bike. He'd owned it for years. He'd done very, very interesting things on it. It had a few wee things wrong with it, and I knew that he wanted it to go to a good home.
Yes.
So I just said to him, I said, look, if you decide, up to you, if you decide not to ride anymore, let me know. I'll buy the bike, I'll look after it, and it'll continue to be used.
Yes, yes.
And about a month later, he emailed to say that he had made the decision and he would be all pleased if I took the bike.
And this guy that you're talking about is actually Ted Simons.
Yeah, that's right.
And Ted Simons, of course, is the writer of Jupiter's Travels and a number of other volumes, I'm sure. And he has gone round the world several times, and this previous bike.
The very first time he went around the world was in this 1970s. That's on a 500 Triumph.
That's the bike in the picture.
And then he repeated the trip 25 years later, when he was, I think he was 69 when he set
69.
Yep. He was on a, I think I'm right in saying, an R80 GS BMW. So he took 4 years the first time, and I think about 2.5 years the second time. So this bike here is the bike that he's used in Europe for the last 20 odd years.
So this is Ted Simons.
So this one hasn't been round the world.
BMW.
But he's a very interesting man, so his motorbikes tend to have very interesting lives, and I feel very privileged to have it.
You are.
It's a lovely thing.
You are indeed. We are in the second half of the garage, and we've got 2 more bikes. We've got an interesting bike. What's this one on the left?
The one on the left is 2001 Yamaha XT 600E with some modifications. It's got a turbos long range tank and engine guard and some other bits and pieces on it.
And this bike has seen a bit of travelling
It has.
as well. And personally, you have taken this bike. Well, what have you done? Where have you gone?
The guy that I bought the bike from had actually done most of the preparation on it, and he did a solo trip. He did a complete circuit of South and Central America on this.
Wow!
Yeah, and then I bought it from him in need of a major service, but that was all. It was exactly as he described it. It was perfect. And then I headed off I did the best trip I've ever done on a motorbike. I did a 2-month trip from Belfast to across to Wales into northern France. Made my way slowly through France. Those days there wasn't a tourist ferry. Took a commercial ferry from Sète in the south of France into Nador in northeastern Morocco, and then went down to Erg and then across the Dades Gorge, Todra Gorge, out to the coast of Essaouira, on south to my favourite place was Tarodant. Loved the old walled city, the Berber walled city, loved it. Back over the Tizi and Test Pass, which was very memorable doing it solo, through Marrakesh, back up, forget the port to come out of, one of the Spanish enclaves, across into Spain, up to Santander, ferry back to I think Portsmouth, and then the Liverpool boat home again at the end of that, and it was just glorious.
How long was that trip?
It was just over 2 months.
And mileage?
Don't remember.
Probably 3-4. Maybe more.
Well, it was over 4. I know it was over 4.
Oh my goodness gracious!
I don't remember.
and how old were you when you did this?
That was 2008, so I was 53.
53.
Yeah, just a child.
And your wife allowed you to fly your kite?
Well, sort of.
Sort of.
On the day, I knew roughly what I wanted to do, and the reason I was doing it was because I had met Ted Simon the previous year,
and he had inspired you.
He just absolutely, as he has done with hundreds, if not thousands, of other people.
Yes.
He really inspired me, and I wanted to recreate as best I could for me a little bit of one of his trips. So what I did was I didn't use any sort of sat nav. I didn't use a mobile phone. I just used paper maps and asked people where to go and stuff like that. And but I told him what I was going to do, but I didn't want to tell anybody else, because I thought, I've never been away for more than a week before, and I don't know if I'll like my own company. Right. And it would be really embarrassing if I told everybody I was going on this big trip, and then I was home by Thursday.
Yes.
So on the morning when I was setting off with all the stuff on the bike out at the front of the house, Ruth came out and said, we've been married a long time. You should really tell me where you're going and how long you'll be, which I suppose was quite a fair question. So I thought, well, I can't tell a lie. So I said, well, I'm going to go to France and I'll be at least a fortnight. And so that trip has been known ever since as the...
Oh yes, so the photographs.
As the at least a fortnight, because Ruth entitled the photo book of the trip At Least a Fortnight. So when she next saw me, I don't see the picture, well there, that sort of thing. When she next saw me, it was just over 2 months later, and there was sand from the Sahara in between the cooling fins of the engine of the Yamaha.
There you are!
And there's where I went, expecting there to be a bridge in the Dades Gorge, but it had been washed away, so I had to do my first ever river crossing in the Dades Gorge on a heavily loaded trail bike that I had no idea what I was doing with.
My goodness! Oh wow!
Yeah, so that was some spectacular scenery, places where I went.
My goodness gracious!
But I met people along the way. That was that one there. That was interesting. That was a young couple who were out on a touring holiday in Morocco. They were from the Netherlands, and they had seen me coming in on the motorbike, and then they were out having dinner somewhere, and I walked past, and they waved at me just go across,
yes, yes,
and invited me to join them. So
yes, yes,
they just wanted to know more about me, because one of them said, "My father's exactly the same age as you." The thought of him doing something like this is just ridiculous.
It is ridiculous for most people to even contemplate. But this is what you can do.
That was lovely. I met up with a couple of other bikers from Switzerland just along the way, and we got stuck for somewhere to stay one night. A wee town where the campsite had been washed away in a flood, and the one and only hotel was filled up. But I managed to find a fixer watching us from behind a tree, and my French was sufficiently adequate to go and chat to him. So he negotiated, and that's us in what was the function room of the hotel. It's inside a big Berber tent.
Yes, yes.
And he negotiated that we could bring our motorbikes in and put our sleeping mats beside them and spend the night in this Berber tent.
Brilliant.
He actually slept across the doorway to make sure we were safe.
You were safe. My goodness. My goodness. Flick over a few more pages there and let us see. And this is the bike that we've just been videoing behind us here. My goodness.
Yeah, so let's see.
This is very ad hoc, folks, so you just bear with. Oh my goodness. This is a trip of a lifetime.
It was very memorable. I'm really glad that I did it. That was known as a parking guardian. Can't remember his name. That was a guy who looked after my bike overnight for me. I met a number of those. They were always really nice. And stayed in. Oh, that's him there.
Yes,
I was in a room upstairs in that wee place.
Yeah. Wow.
Just all very memorable.
My goodness gracious.
That man there bought me my breakfast.
Brilliant.
Because he saw me.
Took pity on you.
Well, he saw me looking a bit lost. It was actually my first morning in Morocco, and I couldn't find anywhere to eat. And then I found this wee place that I discovered was a sort of a cafe in a basement. So I went down in, but there was no menu and only one man behind the counter, and he didn't speak English or French. So that was, I had run out at those two.
Yes.
And there was no food on display. So I thought, well, I'll have a seat and I'll have a drink anyway. But I couldn't get through anything to him. So there were bottles of fizzy orange on the counter, and I pointed at one and bought some fizzy orange. I sat down to have a bottle of fizzy orange for my breakfast, and then that guy there came in, who's a local. He came in, and I nodded and said hello to him. So he spoke French, and he was ordering his breakfast, and then he came over to ask who I was and why I was there. It wasn't a tourist place at all, and then he said, would you like me? He asked me, why are you drinking orange for breakfast?
Yes.
And I explained that I didn't know how to get anything else, and he said, would you like me to organise breakfast? I said, please. So he did that in Arabic and sat and joined me, and we had our breakfast together and had a great chat. And then time for him to go, and I said, right, I'll pay for breakfast for both of us. And he wouldn't hear of it, and he explained that in his religion, he was Muslim, that the ability to help a stranger who was in difficulty was a great thing, and that I was not only my first ever day in his country, first ever day in his continent, and I hadn't been able to eat, and it was a joy to him to buy me my breakfast. And that was his business, that fruit trolley out in the street.
My goodness gracious.
It was just a lovely experience, and I hope if he ever comes to Belfast, somebody will do the same for him.
Absolutely. My goodness. Well, look, it has been a joy to sit and chat and reminisce and exchange heart attack information, and it's just been absolutely wonderful. and you showing us a wee bit of your past life and your present life, and we wish you well as you journey forth. We haven't talked about the Royal Enfield. This is just a bike you picked up in bits, and you paid the princely sum of
£25.
£25 for this motorcycle. I wonder what age it is. It must
It's
be
a 1965.
65, and you paid £25
Yeah.
for this machine.
Now, a long time ago.
A long time ago, and it could do with a wee bit of TLC, but it's well on the way. It could be operating again.
Oh, it will be, yes.
It will be. Good man. And you'll maybe take it.
Really, consider. I mean, I'm 9 years older than it, and to be honest, I think I need more work done on me than it needs done on it.
Oh boy. Listen, this has been marvellous, and thank you for taking the time and indulging me with all your stories. And you are a man of stories. You can talk, and I always say that I can talk for Ireland North and South, but you can talk for Ireland North, South, East and West. Thank you so much.
It's been great fun.
Good man.
Love it.
Right.